When you're doing the kind of work that I do, you need a lot of hard drive space. So what I ended up doing was I ended up purchasing a Western Digital MyCloud network access server. And basically, the prices on these things have been dropping very quickly. If you look right here, there's 6 terabytes, only $329, and I believe the price actually dropped $10 to $319 recently. Or at least you can get it for about $319. The 4 terabyte is $219, and if you don't need that much space, the 2 terabytes $119. So I'm basically running 3 computers in my home, plus my Xbox One and my PS4 and whatever else. Like, for instance, if you have smartphones connected to your home network, the app that's available for both Android and iOS allows you to easily access pictures and video and music on your MyCloud server with a password and a username. The only downside is you have to be on a good Wi-Fi network, because obviously pictures are going to load fastest, music is going to load second fastest, and videos that you try to watch are going to be slow. Now, if you want to use the business option that I got, then you'll want to look over here to the MyCloud EX2s or the MyCloud EX4s. Now, these come with RAID 5 setups, which means that if you need to pull a drive out at any given time, it's safe to do so. You're not really supposed to do that regularly, because you always run the risk of damaging something, or you run the risk of dropping a drive, or you run the risk of losing data that may have been being backed up at that moment. But for the most part, RAID 5 is pretty stable. It has a multiple hard drive setup, where there's probably, if you have the 6 terabyte version, there's 3 2 terabyte hard drives, or if you have like the 16 terabyte version, they have 4 terabyte hard drives. And space is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. My only problem is that I wish solid state digital drives were cheaper right now, but strangely enough, in the last 5 years they've gotten cheaper, but they haven't gotten to the point where they've replaced regular hard drives. This is what the MyCloud box looks like. This is a 2 terabyte version, $119 at Micro Center. And right here they show you that installation is supposed to be relatively quick. The only thing you have to do is connect it to your modem, then you use a computer to log into it, and then right after that, as soon as you update the firmware, you're ready to start loading your program files and whatnot that you want to back up into it. It has cooling vents inside, a reset button in case it locks up, an expansion port for USB 3.0 drives, gigabit Ethernet high-speed internet, and a power plug. So if you want to lock this thing up, it also has a cable lock port on it. And for the most part, what you see is exactly what you get. So there have been a lot of videos explaining how the Western Digital MyClouds work. And basically, from what I can say, installation takes less than 10 minutes. All you got to do is you plug the Ethernet cable directly from the drive into your router, whether that's from cable or for Fios. Now, this drive cannot be directly connected to your computer, and that's actually one of the downsides. Most of these network access server drives cannot be plugged directly to the computer like a regular backup hard drive could be. One of the downsides with that is that you have to spend a long time transferring what you have in your computer across your either Wi-Fi or your Ethernet in your house or your building or whatever. It takes a long time to do that, and what should take minutes to transfer ends up taking longer than 2 or 3 hours. This super speed drive can accommodate a second backup drive. I don't think you can link one MyCloud to the other, simply because they don't have USB access. But if you have an older drive, you can link that to this super speed port, and you can back things up to either the MyCloud or that other drive. So installation only takes but a few minutes, and the transfer or the data migration is what takes the longest amount of time. The Reasons why Windows 8 is hated so much throughout the computer world is because most people aren't extremely computer savvy to easily learn a new user interface. What Windows did a long time ago by creating quote-unquote Windows and making it so you could simply drag or drop something from one place to the next, from one folder to the next folder, or from one folder to the next network sharing folder. By making it that simple, what they did was they actually spoiled us, and they made it so people never had to really learn commands, and they didn't need to learn how to actually use directories. Now, some people don't like the fact that they made it too easy. But in making it easy, what they did was they made everybody get used to and accustomed to being able to simply share things from one folder to the other. I prefer the Windows interface over the Apple interface for the Mac that I just bought. And I also prefer it to Linux and this, that, and other. But most of those are very, very similar in some ways to Microsoft. But anyway, the MyCloud system has its own user interface that looks a lot like this. And when you want to move files back and forth, you basically can drag and drop it. It's just that these icons are a bit annoying. And they're really big and bright icons and everything, but to me, they're just a little bit, it looks like it's designed for somebody who doesn't really know much about user interfaces. I mean, it's designed in a simplistic way so that people look at it and, as long as they know how to read the file folders, they can pretty much follow what they have to do. But it's also designed in a way where it's a little oversimplified. And I feel that anytime you right-click, you should always have access to properties on whatever you right-click in. And the reason why you're going to want to be able to easily move things back and forth is because when you're setting up shared files, like when you want to share things with your media server, or you want to share things with your Xbox or your PS4, I feel that it's important to have quick access to a properties bar, just like you have in Windows, so that this way you can easily check the file sizes of each folder, or so you can do things like click read only and this, that, and other, read only, or you could write protect, or you could use those other options that make it so that it's hard to delete something if you don't really want to delete it. They do have rename, so you can rename this. You can delete a folder that you just added to the drive. You can copy a folder. You can do a lot of the things that you normally could do in Windows. However, what they don't simply show you, and I don't know if there's no way to see it up here, but what they don't simply show you is they don't show you the size of the folder, which I find is ridiculous. I'd like to be able to see the size right here. It doesn't allow you to see which folder is how big, so that this way you can be sure that 100% of your data makes it from one place to the next. So that's my only complaint. Hopefully that'll be fixed in some kind of firmware update. But other than that, you should always back up your drive. Now, that's one thing. Some people who are planning to get this drive, if data is extremely, extremely important to back up and you don't have secondary drives, I recommend the MyCloud Mirror instead of the MyCloud, the regular. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to connect using your local area network. Now, what's going to happen is most people who are running laptops or who are using these new computers that have wireless internet, you're probably going to be limited to wireless G, wireless N, or even wireless AC speed. Depending upon where this network access server is in your house, you may not be very close to it, and it may take a long time to upload your files that you want to back up. I recommend getting an Ethernet cable and connecting that Ethernet cable directly to your router, so that this way you can get the highest transfer speeds you can get. Even connected directly to the router, this is what I'm looking at. It takes roughly, well, you're seeing how fast it's going. This is the high speed when you connect directly using Ethernet gigabit cable. It takes almost a minute to transfer 1 gigabyte, as you can see. And this is the fastest you can pretty much get. 96.33 gigabytes is going to take me roughly an hour plus to transfer. So that's basically all I have to say. The only complaint that I have with this drive is that there's no way to connect it directly to the computer using USB 3.0. Now, when you have older computers, that becomes a problem because some older computers may not have such an easy time connecting directly to a network access system. And it would be an older computer that you're more likely to want to back up because you're trying to save your older files. So basically that's all I have to say. So as you can see, it takes a long time to get 1 gigabyte in. And I've got 96 gigabytes to go. So basically the best thing to do is you start the transfer, leave your computer running, go to work, and then when you come home, it usually should be finished. I mean, within 2 hours, you could transfer 200 gigabytes, right? And that's basically it. So if you have any direct questions about this system, just let me know. And as you can see, it just said you got 4 hours and 28 minutes. Now, I think that number might change later down the road, but for right now, that's what it says. So once again, if you have any direct questions about these network access servers, I have the 2 terabyte version, I have the 4 terabyte version, and I have one of the 16 terabytes at work. So if you have any questions about any of these and you don't feel like talking to their frequently asked questions forum, feel free to ask me. Thank you.